Right, let's get the rest of the pile done with from the other day. We got Landra. Looks like why would my brain go blank on him? I like him a lot. What's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? Star Lord's fake dad. She has her hair just reminds me of him. In the earlier days when he had the really big fin, that's her hair. But this is by Hector Diaz, Alan Larsons, Cindy Perkins, and Sue Dorn. A World Called Landra. Uh, in this, she does some space travels, fights with some demons. I can't remember if this is, I think this is her world that she's on, and she's trying to protect it. Or did she get called there? She might have got called there. But she's not born on Earth. So I'm not sure if this is where her planet is from. Uh, but the Demon Master has plans to do something by taking her power and making it his own. And it's going to give him power to absorb her. And we get some interesting characters in here. This one looks like a Tremor character grew arms. Looks like he has 4 arms. One looks like a baby arm. And he's got a skull for a head, like a dragon skull. Yeah, it is a goofy looking thing. Now we got the giant bear creature there. But she deals with a lot of different beings while this guy's trying to collect her powers. We get this big stone monster. That appears, and she does what she can to survive all the beast. While at the same time, I don't even think she realizes that she's being hunted by this other guy to take her power. But this leads you up. Oh, they give you an epilogue in the back that basically leaves you hanging with until next time, the end. But she's an interesting character. I'd check out more from her, but we will see. Not sure if that's Canadian based or not, but definitely fun checking out these indies from the 90s. This one is done by Caterpillar Press, Mythic Comics. Timothy II, Leitmotiv. Uh, I wasn't going to read this. It didn't look like it was grabbing me, but the cover looks exactly like Tank Girl. And when I see that, I got to figure out what's going on. But I could not get into this. It was, and she definitely has the Tank Girl style and feel to her, but there's no mention in here about Tank Girl, so I assume it's just an artist that had that image in his head or her head when they worked on it. I'm trying to find who worked on this. They don't have nothing. I mean, this image right here reminds me of Trencher style. And it looks like Mythic Comics also does the Grimlock, the Bruiser, Abba, Fangs, and Abba. But, yeah, the Grimlock story, I know. Checked out those before. But this one, it's space based, but I just couldn't get into it. I wish I could find. I'm really curious about who worked on this, but all I can find is Timothy the Second, and that could be the person that wrote and drew all this because Timothy the Second is the name that's on all the artwork I see. But I wasn't able to make it through this book. I tried my best, but I had to do it because the tank girl visual on the cover just looks so much like her. But you'll have that artist using. I mean, I do it. When I draw, I like to have images for to give my brain a good depiction of what kind of uh, structure I want them, what position I want them. I guess you could say uh, how I want the characters to be moving. I need to get those little bendables. They got the multiple all the different joints and stuff. You can set them up however you want, and that's what I need. I just because visually, my brain ain't there anymore. And when I'm doing some drawing, I just want to get the pose concept I'm looking for. Major cotton mouth, sorry, but you should be drinking too. It's good for you. Oh, water. Depends what you're drinking. But being out in that humidity today, it's just my eyes are dried out, my throat's dried out, and I smell like a big sweaty mess. Kind of like this guy, probably. I love this Footloose parody cover. Uh, if you have not checked this out, you're missing out. Moonshine Bigfoot. This is the penultimate, issue 3 of 4. And it's basically Dukes of Hazard mixed in with a bunch of other your 80s fandom. But in here we get a little history lesson on how the Bigfoot character came to be, uh, how he found a family and all that stuff. At the same time, we're seeing him being caught and tortured, and they end up doing some stuff to his girlfriend that causes him to have to help her find out what's going on and stuff. He doesn't know she's in any bad way. Uh, there's a little note for the big fuzzy dope. It says big fuzzy dope on the letter, but it says stay put. Things are bad. Stay put. Be nice to Dennis, the ghost of the house. And thanks for the flowers, I think. But he's like, okay, I gotta stay put. He's talking to the ghost that haunts the area and ends up seeing a big giant magic mushroom and decides it's going to be a magic mushroom kind of day. While that's going on, we get to see what's happening with his girlfriend. How she's kind of like hooked up with this other guy at the moment, hanging out at a bar. Her and this other guy hanging out at this bar. Same time, you got the Blues Brothers. You got Aliens. You got Smokey and the Bandit. You got Mr. T. They like putting all these A's type characters in these shows or in this. You got Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog standing next to a guy that's drinking a interesting smoking green drink. Yeah, like an ET alien in there. So many fun characters that you can find if you look through this long enough. Richard Simmons. Oh, what's her name from Octopussy? Uh, she was in Rocky Four too, wasn't she? But then we got these guys with these like alien guns that just vaporize people with this green ooze that they're using, and they kind of look like Inspector Gadget heads. The way they got there. The one guy has his head set up, but our girl, she tries to escape. Well, they're hunting her down, but they don't want to dematerialize her. They want to catch her for this character that has plans for her. And while that's going on, our big goofy Bigfoot character is just laying around, high as shit, not knowing anything that's going on. The ghost warned him, told him that's a bad idea and all that stuff. Our sheriff now has a fancy mech suit, which is probably better because otherwise he kept doing they do the whole Dukes of Hazard jump the broken bridge thing, and the cops and other people chasing him would end up in the swamp. Um, but when the sheriff shows up, he attacks Big Moonshine Bigfoot, blows his shack up and stuff, and a big battle ensues for that. And then we get to also see what's going on with his girlfriend, and yeah, this is very well done. I hope they come back with more of these. Done by Mike Marlowe, Steve Ellis, Zach Howard, Thompson Knox, and Nelson Daniel on this. But we got one issue left. This one had tons of action in it, and got a Bigfoot dancing on the cover. You can't go wrong with that. Now, this one was a surprise to me. I wanted to read it just because I'm trying to get up on a few Popeye comics in case I decide to do some Popeye drawing now that it's open to the public. But this is Popeye Borned to the Sea. I believe this is a one shot. Incredible Origin issue, special number 1 from Ocean Comics. But the interesting part of this to me was or not. Huh. See if I can find where I seen that. Oh no. Okay, I guess I could be wrong. And we got Bob and Kathy Palin are the publishers and editors in chief. Story editor Bill Pearson, EC Cigar is the creator, but isn't an Antarctic Press title, but I thought the lettering created by EC Cigar. I don't know. We'll see if we come across something else in here. Might have been this big right up in the beginning part. Ben Dunn happened to have something to do with this, like in the lettering department. Nope. I'm not going to find it without reading all that, and I'm not going to do all that while you're sitting there waiting. But we get a interesting story on Popeye's parents out to sea, and his mother gives birth to him during a storm. His pappy thinks, yeah, that's a pretty freaking ugly kid. And then we jump ahead to Popeye's teenage years and joining the military, the Navy, and how it goes with him in the Navy. And of course, Brutus is part of the Navy also. And they got Fred and Bianca. Yeah, Bianca from Extraterrestrial Ex Thieves. Those are good stories. I like those too. Uh, but yeah, you get to see what's up with him and Brutus. And we also get Wimpy. Wimpy's in the military with him. And it's a fun Popeye story. I enjoyed it. Uh, Definitely get some history out of it. We got a big old creature here that he has to deal with. I think they go out at each other in a ring. Yeah, they're in a boxing ring in front of tons of people and stuff, and you get to see them battle it out. You get to see Brutus play around because he finds out that Popeye's powers are because of spinach, but Popeye pretty much it's his life because his parents end up just feeding him spinach. And then you find out all this, and then Brutus overhears things, and Brutus changes his spinach to something else, and Popeye isn't getting as strong as he usually is because he's forget I don't know if it's seaweed or something like that that Brutus swaps it out with, but yeah, it was funny. But I could have swore when we're in there, it mentions Ben Dunn doing the pencils or something like that. Yeah, his Popeye's dad was called Poop Deck. And you got Brutus. You got Dan O'Mite is one of the Navy salesman guys. You got Wimpy. You got What a Snozzle, or a guy that's got a really big nose, and the Roxy character in here. But 1987 that came from. Mr. Jigsaw, man of a thousand parts. Never seen that character before. All right, we got Shi Haikyo. This is a beautiful cover, number one. I love that cover. I love that they like doing the cherry blossoms with the Shi's red outfit. It just blends in so nicely. Um, you get a nice big prelude to what's been going on in the last two issue run that we reviewed on here that we really enjoyed with her and her mother uh, was and her father is brought up in that one. But this is done by Billy Tucci and Stephen Perros, Gardanio Lima, Hi-Fi Color Design, Mindy Lopkin all worked on this. The Shi artwork's always beautiful. We get a nice history lesson previously of what was going on. And then we find out that there is a demon hunting Haikyo and has plans for her and her mother. And at the same time, while this happens, her grandfather that taught her how to be a warrior, even though her mother, she did not want her to. And we see her grandfather getting beaten and slaughtered and put into a certain style of torture that we learn about in here. And with her thinking he's dead, and she finding out about what's going on and that her daughter's missing, they have to hunt her down. But we find out why this all happened, what's going on with the demon, what his evil plans are for her, for she, for her why he did what he did to her grandfather, and just teaches us more and more about the characters. And at the same time, we go back in time and get to see when Haikyo was a youngin' and how her mother took her to introduce her to her father and all that stuff. But her father, sadly, is in prison, so he doesn't want nothing to do with. Well, she doesn't want him to have anything to do with her. It's like, this is the last time we're coming to jail. You're going to see your child now, and that's it. Because I'm not going to raise my child coming to jail every Saturday to see you or whatever. Whatever they'd have to do. But I finally got a Mark Spears book. I don't know, I might have one or two other ones, but this one I love the Cygor cover. I got Spawn, issue 365, and our giant kaiju demon has reached shore, kind of set up a spot by the shore, and some fighter jets come in to try and get some missiles off on him and realize that there's a force field up. Some other characters, mostly the angel characters, of course, don't trust Spawn, even though Spawn's one of the few things that can go through the shielding. And all the angels are like, "Oh, we're not waiting. We're going in. We're going to take this thing down now. It's a threat. We got to do it." And Spawn warns them, but they don't listen. And then along with the angels, we got Gunslinger Spawn, Shi Spawn, Cygor. Can't remember, is that Medieval Spawn with them? But they go in, try and take the demon down, and find out that there's a force field around the demon, which they were told, but nobody wanted to listen to Spawn, of course, because he's been untrustworthy in the past. But then we got our character whose dad was like an angel, kind of like half angel or something like that. But he's found his abilities now, kind of has more control over them. And he's here looking for Gunslinger Spawn for Javi. And we find out that he's also a speedster style character, and he can actually get through the shield. So Spawn wants to make up an attack That's going to have him going one direction, Spawn going another direction. I think there was a third person that also is able to get through the sports field. And yeah, I'm enjoying that part of the storyline, but I am planning on stopping after this part of the storyline for a while again. I just can't keep doing all these runs, and everything's getting confusing with the whole bankruptcy of the diamond distributors and all that. Didn't have a previews catalog in the last shipment. Uh, so I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hearing rumors that a lot of independent companies are going to other people and joining up with them. And do I really want to have to hunt down a bunch of different entities to order my comics? Nah, I'd rather go back to just picking out of bargain boxes and stuff like that. But yeah, some more fun comics. Keep falling under the call of MS. Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, give us those likes. Leave a comment, I'll comment back. Check out Under the Cowl of MS. And we'll be back with more of these soon. Alright, thanks. Have a great rest of your week or weekend or whatever is up after I post this. And we'll be back.